guys, welcome to the video. If you're anything like me, you're searching YouTube right now because you're having an issue with your elevator, whether it be a number of things from electrical to it's just not going up and down, it's making noises, etc. So I'm here to show you the top 6 hacks that I think that you can do by yourself without hiring any type of inspector, technician, electrician, whatever, to get your elevator up and running again without investing any money and saving you that service call, etc. So as crazy as it might sound, some of them are really simple, but they go overlooked. But I'm going to share you my top 6. And do me a favor, if you do end up gaining some sort of knowledge or it does help you, hit the like button on this video. I really appreciate it. It helps the YouTube logarithm and others will find this video as well, so it can help them out. And also, if I did help you, please leave me a comment. Let me know, because it makes me feel good that I'm making these videos probably to a select minority of the people, because a lot of people out there just don't have elevators in their houses. So it's kind of a select few that are probably watching this video, so I'm happy to help you guys. But here I go. I'll cut to the chase. I won't beat around the bush. Here's my top 6 hacks to make sure you keep an eye out for to keep your elevator running in case it's not working. All right, so this should go without saying, you guys, but your elevator has a locking mechanism for safety. It has to make sure that the door is shut. So as crazy as this sounds, some people, they might think it's shut, but it might not be. So you gotta make sure, like, see the light? They think it's shut, now it's shut. So that mechanism has to be shut and it make the contact for it to say, hey, it is completely shut. I'm going to be able to safely move this elevator without anybody falling out or whatever. Second thing that should be obvious, but this is, I've seen these that have gone bad, but when you shut the safety door, that latch makes a connection and it talks to the electrical panel upstairs. So this safety gate has to be completely shut, and there is a chance that that mechanism wore out, or let's say there's some dust in there or something. You just need to kind of spray it out with some of that, like for your computer, like keyboard, that kind of like spray. So make the connection, and that could save you. That could be a reason why it's not telling the computer upstairs that it shuts, because there's a problem with this. And it could be that you need to replace that too. If it's wore out or people are shutting the door, you got kids that are maybe slamming that door, etc., that could be a problem. Here's the next, it's really simple, but you know what? It's happened to a few people that I know, because I live in a complex that is more or less, it was designed with elevators in every single townhome. So I'm kind of the jack of all trades, where they call me before they hire someone to see if I can help them fix it. And sometimes you'll have kids over, you'll have a cleaning lady over, or maybe you accidentally, hit this, see how it turns? Well, that key has to be a certain way for it to operate. And if you happen to turn it a certain, that way to turn it off, then it's not gonna work. So make sure the key wasn't messed with or turned accidentally, and then that could be a simple fix as to why it's not running. See, for example, I was messing around with this key and look, it's not working. Shut the door, door's shut, but I turn it this way and boom, now it's working. Here is the wire. And if you don't know where your motor and everything is, just go follow the line. So here is all the mechanisms, and see if I can get around. There's my motor, and when I pressed the button, it was giving me like a throbbing, like almost like a pulsating effect, like the motor was trying to work, but it just wasn't turning. And that's why I showed you, and I'll drop the video link, is you could see through the ribs there that it was trying to turn, but you see this like rust, and down here, we live here in the Houston area, down here in Texas, and it's hot, it's humid. Rust it's inevitable as far as steel goes, so it will build up. So if you do live in the Florida area, Houston, Louisiana, Alabama, everywhere in the South basically along the water, or up north by the water, I guess, when it gets hot. But you see that it's almost like a brake caliper that for safety measures, it really is right there on the wheel. So what happens is it's really finicky too, so it will be picky with you, and if it senses any type of situation where it's not running perfectly smooth, then it will not rotate, and for safety measures it won't do anything with the elevator, where you're standing. So what I did, and it's going to be off video, but you'll see, is I just grabbed, this is the hand crank for emergency use. Usually it's sitting right by your elevator itself. And so what I did is I pressed the button downstairs so it would be trying to work, and then I just tapped this, and eventually it worked itself loose. It started spinning real quick, and it was good to go. So now what I'm going to do up here is I got some WD-40 and like a wire brush. I'm going to spray it here. Make sure you don't get it in the motor and cause problems, but outside, just right here to cause it so it runs a little bit smoother through that caliper. And use a little wire brush, a little WD-40, so it makes it a little bit smoother, so it won't take a week before it happens again. So I can maybe just keep this as a continuous preventive maintenance. Alright, so obviously you don't want to get a mess everywhere. So if you want to do a little protection here, I'm just using some cheap craft paper. You can use a junk t-shirt or whatever you want to do. This is the face of the plate where the rust, I don't know if you can even see it in the video, but there's like a fine cloud of like rust just coming off of the wheel. I'm just using a regular steel brush where it touches up there in the caliper. Now I'll spray it down, because that's where it's pretty much was jammed. Basically, I want it to run around that. So when I press the button, it's going to circulate all that WD-40 around. So here, I'm going to go press the button now. It's currently on the first floor, and there's a 3-story process here at this house. So I'm going to run it to the 3rd floor, and this wheel is going to spin for 3 stories up, and you'll see it circulate through, and hopefully it'll make less noise as it circulates the WD-40. Alright, I think I got it situated here so y'all can see what the wheel does as I press the button. Oh, come on, guys. Spinning. you don't want to flicking all over the place. You might want to put something because it is going to spray. I'm just trying to lubricate it a little bit so it goes through right here, right there, so it's not as strained on the motor. So it will eventually work its way through. I need to be careful with that. See that paper? That paper's binding. There, it just stopped because it's all the way up to the 3rd floor. But that looks pretty good. You want to make sure you do this probably once a year so it doesn't happen and someone happens to be stuck inside the elevator when it wants to bind up and give out on you. But that's another hack. If your elevator does not want to go up or down, it could be because there's some rust on this plate and it's just seized up into that caliper, and you just got to come up in the crawl space or wherever your motor and everything is. Just give it a little friendly tap while you're trying to run the motor and let it unseize itself, and then do what I just did. A little oil, WD-40. You could use other options too. And then just kind of scrape off any rust that's been built up over time. That would be another hack, guys. All right, so here is a major hack that will save you a lot of money versus a technician coming out on a service call and they basically do nothing except for what I'm about to do. Typically this happens in your home elevator right after there's a power outage, or you lose function of the elevator for a period of time, and you're wondering why it's not working at all. The lights aren't working. It's just simply, kaputs. Well, what happens is the mechanism that controls the up and down, it's called the Speedmaster that I have. It's called a Leeson Speedmaster. And that mechanism, it requires warmth to operate. And obviously if the electricity of the house is cut off for a storm or whatever, that electric turnoff, there's no more warmth keeping the mechanism hot. So the trick is you gotta warm up the mechanism and it'll magically turn on again, and then your elevator will be fixed. So I'm gonna show you right now because it's just now turned off on mine, and I'm gonna do the trick and watch y'all how it turns on for me. All right, so I'm up here at the panel box. It happens to be in my attic, but it might be in a different location at your house. But don't pay attention to all this. This is just a bunch of, it's like looking at the stock market. You don't know what the hell's going on, and technically you don't even want to mess with it because you don't want to get shocked. But you do not have to turn off any electric. You can see there's still electric. You can see some lights going on here or whatever, but you see this thing? Leeson Speedmaster? This is what controls your elevator going up and down. And if you notice the screen, it is completely pitch black. So there's no electric showing up on there, and that needs to be turned on. And in order for it to be turned on, it has to be heated. So what am I gonna do? The trick is use a hairdryer. So plug it in. I fortunately have an outlet here up in my attic's crawl space, but if you don't, you're gonna wanna run an extension cord down to your steps down there, plug it into the wall, and then boom, you'll be good to go. So watch where I point this along like the ribs, the vent ribs, and up here by the wiring and below the wiring, and in about 30 seconds to a minute, give or take, it should turn on and it'll go through a reset process. So you probably won't be able to hear me talk while I'm doing this, but here we go. Just watch the lights. Boom, you see what happened? I just turned it on, magically. Some technician would probably charge you a service call just to make that happen, 150 bucks down the tubes. So y'all are welcome. Now it's going through a reset process. You can go turn on your elevator and try it. Give it about 5 minutes before you try operating it, but it should be good to go for you. Now here's another tip and trick if your elevator went out and you have no freaking idea why it would have. There's a good chance that maybe you had a electrician, the cable guy, a plumber, you name it. Maybe they were messing around with something outside of your elevator and they were doing something, maybe the AC guy, who knows. But if they happened to go into your crawl space and they weren't paying attention or they were clumsy, you see this chain? This chain is connected all the way up into emergency shutoff. That's a little panel there with an on-off switch. So if somebody accidentally hits this chain, another one could be kids. What if kids are playing hide and go seek, or maybe your better half, your husband, your wife, or whatever, they were up here putting a Christmas present to hide it, a birthday present, and they ran into this chain accidentally. They didn't do it on purpose, but what it did is that when they hit this chain, the shutoff hit that electrical panel, and there's no electric going to your elevator for safety reasons. And that's an obvious but easy fix. Just go up into your crawl space, follow this emergency shutoff chain, flick this switch up, and there's a good chance that that was a good reason why your elevator wasn't working. Well, there you go, guys. There is my top 6 tips to go ahead and check, make sure before you start investing money and calling a technician or someone, an electrician, whatever, to call to your house. Maybe you can fix it yourself, save yourself some money, and plus you'll look like a genius to your counterparts or whoever, and it'll be something that maybe might happen again, depending on if your electricity continuously goes out of your house in bad weather, etc. So, good things to know, happy to help. If you found good knowledge on this, don't forget to hit the like button, and I will see y'all on the next one. Take care, guys. Peace.